I feel like this is probably the most new players we've had come across in one season. So it's a very new squad, but I feel like so far, so good. The girls seem to be getting along really well with each other. And you can see we're slowly building each week, which is looking promising coming into the season.
Yeah, like same as Mickey, a lot of new people in the team, but in saying that, I feel like not just us older girls, but even the new girls, we're all getting along quite well, which I personally find really important with everything. So like having that good bond between us, I think is a good foundation for hopefully playing better on the pitch. But in saying that, all these new girls definitely brought like key aspects.
Welcome back here on Sandybay Media for another episode. We're joined by Melbourne Knights, who are making their first appearance here on Sandybay Media. So firstly, welcome everyone.
Hey.
Hi.
Well, it's good to have you on here. Let's get a bit of an introduction of who we've got.
Yeah, so I'm Tala. I'm the goalkeeper.
I'm Kate. I have been at Knights for I think 6 years now. More of like an attacking player, wings at the moment.
And I'm Michaela. I've been at Knights for, I think this is my 11th year now, so quite a while there now. I'm a centre back.
Awesome. And Tala is new to the club, coming down from Queensland.
Yes.
All right. Well, look, as we were having a chat a little bit earlier and getting to learn a little bit about the club and what's happening this year, we came to the conclusion that it's very much a rebuilding season and it's shaping up to be something very different to past years. Tala, you with yourself being new to the club, what have you seen so far and how's that been going for yourself?
I've seen that the club unity is quite important. I mean, like obviously Kate and Michaela have been there for so long. So there have been like a number of players that I've met that have been there for a long time. But they've expressed that like there are new players and stuff like that. And obviously I'm new, so I'm not very familiar with the club, but I know that there's like a lot of background and I've heard lots of good things. So I'm just excited to see how we're going to work together and everything this year.
It's excellent to hear. And speaking of, as you mentioned, background and what you've heard so far, let's go to Kate and Michaela, who've been there for a combined 17 years together. And let's have a look at how this season is different and why and what sort of changed to get there.
I guess I feel like this is probably the most new players we've had come across in one season. So it's a very new squad, but I feel like so far, so good. The girls seem to be getting along really well with each other. And you can see we're slowly building each week, which is looking promising coming into the season.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, like same as Mickey, a lot of new people in the team, but in saying that, I feel like not just us older girls, but even the new girls, we're all getting along quite well, which I personally find really important with everything. So like having that good bond between us, I think is a good foundation for hopefully playing better on the pitch. But in saying that, all these new girls definitely brought like key aspects to what we need, I guess, to sort of get to that success and hopefully win a couple games this year. So it's a good change, I think.
No, it definitely is. And as you mentioned, just having that change and I guess fresh faces, fresh ideas at the club.
Yes, exactly.
And speaking of fresh ideas, how has John gone so far coming into it as a coach?
I think he's been pretty good so far. He's definitely pushing us a lot more than we have in the past 2 years or so. He's made a big impact so far, I think, in terms of like showing that he actually cares about us and is giving us the feedback we want, and he's pushing us in terms of like our fitness and stuff. So yeah, I think he's been a good change for us. Yeah, I don't know. He's really caring towards us, I think. Like he puts in a lot of effort to make sure that, we understand things, and he checks in on us and stuff. So I think it's been a really good change as well for John. So hopefully, it all works out.
As Kate was saying, I was going to say the exact same thing for me. Like coming over, I was talking to him late November last year, before we had our trials and everything, and I got quite sick. So even though I hadn't physically met him yet, he was like checking in on me and like seeing how I was feeling and stuff like that. So for that to be like carried on even through preseason and stuff, it's really nice to know that it wasn't just like something that he was just trying to like get me to come across the club. It's actually just his personality and how he is as a coach and as a person to like check in on his players and push us, like Kate was saying, as hard as we can.
And definitely building on that myself, coming back from a serious injury last season, he's been great in helping me get back to being fit again, pushing me to actually start playing again and get back into it after a long time out, which was really supportive and it was good to have.
No, I think we all kind of got the notion that that's just part of his personality. Even with myself, John had been 100% supportive even before I ever met him. He was always messaging us and giving us a lot of positive feedback. I'm like, I don't know who this person is, but that's fantastic. And when I finally got to meet him, I was like, oh wow, this guy seems okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's get back to the football side of things. Tala, as you mentioned, you came down from Queensland. How have you found the actual football side of things and sort of having a look at what was it like up in Queensland for yourself?
Yeah, so coming from Far North Queensland, the quality is obviously so much more intense. Like the training schedules and the regime, I mean, like even VPL compared to MPL is like the training schedules are quite similar and the coaches work very much the same, where they have so much intensity and they want you to work on your ball skills and like control and composure and that sort of stuff. Whereas that's not, I mean, from where I'm coming from, it wasn't so much focused on. It was more of a social football, whereas down here it's quite competitive. So yeah, it's been a really good change.
Yeah, so I think one of the things would have been like going from like twice a week to now training like 3 times a week in a game on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, well, speaking of games, let's have a look at some of the practice games you're playing, or just as an overall, how you've gone so far. Michaela, let's start off with you and your thoughts.
I feel like the first few games was kind of just easing into it and slowly learning how each other play and learning how to play with each other, because it is a brand new squad. But I feel like as the weeks have gone on, we've definitely become stronger, and you can see it out there on the field. You can see us slowly learning how to play together more. And I think that definitely showed in our last practice game we played against Heidelberg. And despite the scoreline, we actually played quite well and held our own, especially for that first half an hour or so. We did really well. And I think that's great to have a hit out like that coming into the season and just give us a bit of that confidence boost that, yes, we can play together. We're learning to play together really well.
No, that's absolutely brilliant you did that. And Kate, as you were saying that, there's these fresh players coming into the side. How much of an impact is that having on the squad so far?
I think it's having a big impact, because I think when we lost a lot of players, we lost a lot of key players. So being able to sort of fill those gaps has been good. And like they're able to fill them in a way where it's beneficial and it works with how we play. And they've also brought new ways to play for us as well. And like Michaela said, the first few games are sort of just adapting to everyone's style. But I think we're getting there. We're gelling better. You can see the improvements we've made as a team. So yeah, having those new players and new sort of ways of playing, I think, has been pretty beneficial for us. And yeah, it's just like having new ideas. Like it's good to have like a bit of change, because you're always used to playing the same with the same players, but now it's different. So you have to change as well. So it's been good.
Completely agree. And Talia, obviously yourself, you're getting exposed to a different level of football, especially going up against the NPL players, going, okay, this is...
Yeah, exactly. As Kate was saying, like the bonding and stuff like that the team has had, the girls have been really welcoming. So for me, it's more just actually feeling like I'm a part of a community and a club and stuff like that. And obviously because of COVID, we've been quite like distracted and also like distant with each other. So it's really nice that everyone's been like communicating with each other, and they're like obviously really supportive and things like that. So it's good that everyone's like taking on feedback and like communicating with each other, so we can work as a team and as a unit, not just individuals.
That's brilliant to hear that. And just before we wrap up, we just want to have a look at the season coming up. So what are your thoughts, or just sort of your early feelings going into it? I know it feels like it's not that far away. Sorry, it feels like it's a couple of weeks off, but it just feels like it could be on tomorrow as well.
I think it's just building on what we started last year. So last year was obviously our first year in the VPL, and I think initially it was a bit of that shock for us, like playing at that higher intensity and playing against teams we hadn't played against before, and sort of learning to adjust. Whereas I feel like this year, now we know what we're up against, we know what to expect. So I think we're more prepared this year, I'd say.
That definitely sounds like it.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's daunting, because now it's like the real thing. Like saying that there's no more lockdowns, but like this is it, we've had 2 years to sort of adjust to it, and now this is it. We're hopefully going to play all the games, and hopefully get a few wins, because I feel like we just deserve it. Like, we've been trying so hard to get the team back up and running. And I feel like we're ready to, give it our all and hopefully, get the results that we want. Like, I don't expect to win every game, but I just hope we get a few, just like set a goal each week, I don't know.
I think we've been working hard enough for that, though.
Yeah.
I think as a team, like, we've been growing heaps over the last couple of weeks anyway. And even like with our last game that Mickey was saying against Heidelberg, like, I think it's really important that we just like keep progressing and keep like working together and talking and stuff like that. I think we're going to have a really good season this year. Like, something just feels really good about it. I don't know what it is.
To see how far we've progressed in like such little time, and the season hasn't even started yet. Like, it should be good, hopefully.
Yeah, no, definitely sounds
promising,
good.
Hopefully.
It sounds like it's a new Melbourne Knights. It's a new season.
Yeah, I think it is.
People
new
might
direction.
be shocked.
Yes, hopefully.
Hopefully, us again in like a few months.
We'll definitely do. We'll definitely do. Well, look, thank you for joining us and having a bit of a chat with us about preseason, Talia, about your move to the club, and just touching on the season that's coming up. So thank you for that. And we definitely look forward to following the Knights as the year goes on and getting a chat and having a chat in a month's time and how it's traveling.
Awesome. Thank you for having us.